Welcome and thank you for joining us for the Women Against Abuse virtual edition of Dish It Up. We are so excited to have you tune in for what's sure to be a meaningful and jam-packed event. I'm NBC 10's Jacqueline London and I'm delighted to be your host this evening. Before we get started, I would like to briefly set the stage for what you can expect from this virtual event. While we can't mix and mingle while tasting delicious bites from some of Philly's best women chefs as we normally do, we are still going to deliver that same dish it up spirit you've come to know and love. So without further ado, I'm so excited to introduce you to Chef Barbie Marshall, a Philly native who created delectable dishes at Philadelphia Fish & Co. and 1225 Raw before establishing her catering business and soaring to the national spotlight when she appeared on Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen and Hell's Kitchen All-Stars. Barbie has been on the Dish It Up judging panel for several years, and we're so excited and grateful to have her join us tonight.
Thanks, Jacqueline. It's wonderful to be here with you all this evening. I hope if you're tuning in from home, you can pour yourself your favorite cocktail, grab something yummy to munch on, or even bring us to your dinner table. I myself am a survivor of domestic violence, so this is a cause that is particularly close to my heart. I've experienced the pain and manipulation firsthand. I've seen just how difficult it is to break free, and I'm here to tell you that the interventions and advocacy that Women Against Abuse provides are absolutely essential. That's why we need your help this evening in supporting innovative and integral services Women Against Abuse provides for the region. More on that later. First, we're going to celebrate some amazing women chefs. As most of you are probably well aware, COVID-19 has been particularly devastating for the restaurant industry. No doubt, some of your favorite local eateries have had to close down or at least furlough staff until it's safe to resuming dining out like we used to. The past year has been tough. I actually contracted COVID-19 and lost my sense of taste and smell for an extended period. It was my worst nightmare as a chef, and I am only now regaining my senses after many months of retraining. The women chefs we are honoring tonight have likewise suffered personal losses caused by the pandemic. Philly's foodie community emitted a collective groan when Kiki Aranita had to close her beloved Poi Dog restaurant and food truck. And Abigail DeHaan, Park's executive pastry chef, only recently returned to the kitchen. These incredible chefs have supported Women Against Abuse through many years of Dish It Up events, and we wanted to recognize all that they have not only done for this incredibly important nonprofit organization, but for the many survivors of intimate partner violence that they serve each year. So first, Kiki is going to treat us to a cooking demonstration of her renowned poke, which is a staple dish from Kiki's native Hawaii. Kiki, take it away.
Hi, I am Kiki Aranita, and I was one of the co-chefs and owners of Poi Dog Philly. But today I'm going to be sharing something that I wish I could make for you in person. We are going to be making together limu poke. Poke doesn't have to be fish. Poke means to dice or to cut, and that can refer to fish, breadfruit, tofu, and many other wonderful proteins. But in this particular instance, we are using beautiful fresh ahi that I actually trimmed down and skinned right before this. So if you have any hesitation about serving fish raw, then talk to the person who is selling you the fish. That person, that fishmonger, is going to know more about the origins of the fish than you do. They'll be able to tell you, like, yes, you can eat this raw, you can make poke with this, or like, no, maybe you should cook that. So this is not sashimi. This is not sushi. It is not beautifully cut. It is diced. There's no like cutting with the grain or cutting against the grain, because all you're doing is just dicing up this really great fish. Mixing bowl, fish. I wash my knives immediately because that is a good habit, and make sure that my knives do not rust. I typically use Japanese knives that are not stainless steel, so they will rust. Okay, so we have our bowl of ahi. I would say this is like 0.6, 0.7 pounds. And I typically go dry ingredients first, starting with salt, and go light. You can always add after you taste it, but you can never take away. So, ahi, ala air salt. That's about, I would say, less than 1/4 teaspoon. I know I like a lot of macadamia nuts, so I like how they're varying textures. Sprinkle it on, and I'm going to put 2 whole teaspoons. I also like a lot of ginger. So this is about a teaspoon of ginger. Let's put half that first, and we can add more later. We have sweet onion that I like sliced paper thin. Add some of that. I'm going to put sesame seeds in the poke and also on top. They're great for texture and make it look a lot fancier. And then I'm going to pull apart the ogo. It's going to clump together anyway, it's fine, but when you put it in, try to pull it apart a little bit. Sesame oil. Let's say about a teaspoon. We can always add more. And really carefully on the shoyu, I would say that's not even a teaspoon. And then we mix it together. We grab some fresh green onion. I am lazy, so I am using scissors. And at this point, taste it. And I'm not changing that at all. That's a really good poke. Serve your poke as a poo-poo. Seaweed, just a little piece. Oh. Or on a wonton chip. You can add more sesame if you want. This looks pretty good to me. Perfect for a benefit, a culinary benefit. I'm not going to eat this in front of you because I will make a mess. But yeah, that's basically it. Limu poke, shoyu ahi poke. It's also going to be my dinner.
Thank you so much, Kiki, for that incredible demonstration. It is also my great honor to present you, Kiki, the Chef for All Seasons Award.
So I'm really quite honored to receive this. Thank you. Women Against Abuse and everybody behind the organization has been super supportive of me and other chefs in my community over the years. And I wish I could see you all. I wish I could, not be the only person in the room holding this, but thank you so much.
Congratulations, Kiki. Well deserved. And now it's on to the dessert course. Thanks to Abigail DeHaan, Park's executive pastry chef, who is going to show us how to make pavlova. It's sure to be delicious, but it's also something we can all make from home. Abby, let's serve dessert.
Hi, everyone. My name is Abigail Dahan. I am the pastry chef of Park Restaurant and owner and chef of the Bake School. And today I'm going to teach you how to make pavlovas. So really overall, it's a very easy dessert that's very impressive. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, one thing to note when you are making anything with egg whites, especially a meringue, you want to make sure that when you separate your whites, you separate them cleanly. And by that, I mean you want to make sure there are no traces of egg yolk. The egg yolk is the fat, and if you have any type of fat in your egg whites or in the bowl, whatever you're mixing, it's going to prevent your egg whites from whipping. So you want to make sure it's really nice and clean, ideally room temperature, as they will whip better that way, and then you're good to go. So let's get these egg whites in here. Great. Lock and load, and then we always want to start on a medium speed. And I'll tell you why this is really important and something to keep a note of for every time you make a meringue. When you are whipping whites, what's really key here is you're creating a lot of air. Essentially, when you make meringue, it's just fluffy, fluffy egg whites that have a ton of air in them. The slower you whip them, the more there are tiny little bubbles, like a network of tiny bubbles all the way throughout. And the smaller they are, the more compact and stable they are. If you were to take these egg whites and throw them on level 10 and just crank them up, they would definitely fluff up much faster. However, you're going to end up with very large bubbles, very small bubbles, kind of like an array of different sizes. And unfortunately, those larger ones are much more prone to falling and deflating when we're folding. So in order to prevent anything like that from happening, you just want to make sure you're whipping up nice and slow. So at this point, what I like to do is I like to start adding a little bit of the sugar. And I'm going to add it in about 4 parts, so about a 1/4 cup at a time. All right, so I do that. I add a 1/4 cup. I wait 30 seconds or so, and then I add a little more. Another 1/4 cup. And then we just wait for our beautiful glossy meringue to develop. Okay, now if you're ever looking, you're like, I'm unsure, or is my meringue ready? You can always just remove it for a second and just take a look. You want a meringue that's really gonna hold. So you can see I have something that's nice and firm and holding, but still really glossy. That's perfect. So now you can get rid of all this. And you are going to be grabbing your cornstarch and your vanilla and vinegar. So we're going to go ahead and add that in. I like to start with the liquid, and then I'm just going to give a little bit of a fold. And then you're going to go ahead and sift the cornstarch. I really like to sift this because I find, especially with cornstarch, especially if it's a box that you've had in your pantry, it's been a little humid, it's been there for a while, there's going to be clumps, and you don't want a clump of cornstarch in a beautiful, crispy, chewy meringue. So just as a rule of thumb, I like to just give that a good sift. Get it all in there. And then same thing, we're going to fold. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, this is a great Schitt's Creek joke. However, folding is essentially the act of taking batter or whatever this may be, in this case meringue, and literally folding it on top of itself. And that's how you are able to mix something in without deflating it. If I were to just take a whisk and just go to town on it, I'm going to start deflating everything. We don't want that. So you want to be gentle. You want to gently fold. And as soon as it's in, there's no need to mix anymore. So it shouldn't take very long. Again, it's just a couple of teaspoons of cornstarch, but it looks really beautiful and really fluffy. Great. Now all we have to do is get it on our sheet tray. I mean, come on, how easy was that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take with my spatula, and I'm going to kind of drop a big blob here. And I'm going to do 4 big blobs to start, and then I will assess and add if I have any left over. And this is always a really good one for, obviously we can't have gatherings now, but hopefully soon, hopefully, as they say, by the 4th of July. And this would be such an awesome dessert for 4th of July because You get that sweetness, you're going to get some berries. It's really fresh, it's really light. And it's also something that people can just, make themselves. Now, there's only one thing left to do before we put this in the oven. What you want to do is create a groove, okay? We need a place to put all of our stuff. So what you're going to need is a spoon and a little bit of water. So just kind of dip your spoon in there and then use the back of the bottom of the spoon and just create like a little boop, a little divot. Voila, you made a little hole. Then go back in there with your water and just rinse and repeat. Perfect. And if you remove a little bit, that's okay too. It's in the good spirit of getting a nice shape. And this is all done for the pavlovas. Now, all we need to do is bake them. These bake at a very low temperature. We're talking 250 degrees. So it's kind of a low and slow deal. So I'm going to pop these in. Great. And now let's assemble a few. I have some gorgeous assorted berries. I have raspberries and strawberries and blueberries, my favorite. And I have here, ta-da, some pavlovas. No, these are not the ones that are in the oven. Although, could you imagine if I was that good? And now we assemble. I'm going to start with this one right here. A little dollop. And then just pile on just as much as you want. A couple raspberries, a couple blueberries, and then just have fun with it. This is the best part. I love when berry season comes around. It's not quite yet, so they might not be amazing, although these are actually surprisingly good. But especially when berries are in season, you can't beat this dessert. Or when stone fruit comes in season, peaches and plums, man, that is delicious. So there's really a variety of ways you can do this. Let's do a little sprig of mint. I like to just, how cute is that? Oh, so cute. Great. And oh my gosh, I mean, does it get better than this? That's it, guys. So easy, so delicious, so light. I hope you had a really good time watching, and you can always reach out if you have any questions.
Thank you, Abby, for that delicious demonstration. And now I'd like to present to you the Chef for All Seasons Award.
It's an honor to be able to participate in such a worthy cause. I firmly believe that when we can help other women, when women can help other women, we all rise up together. So thank you so much. And I look forward to participating hopefully every year and raising money for these wonderful, courageous women. So thank you again, and hopefully see you next year.
Congratulations, Abby. I want to remind the audience that both Chef Kiki's and Chef Abby's recipes will be made available on Women Against Abuse's website. And I do hope you'll all give them a try at home. Up next, we'll send it back to Jacqueline, who is joined by Women Against Abuse's own Janine Lisitsky.
Thanks so much, Chef Barbie. And now that we've enjoyed dinner and dessert, at least on the screen, we're going to talk with Janine Lisitsky, Executive Director and President of Women Against Abuse. We'll learn what it's been like for people experiencing domestic violence during the pandemic and how Women Against Abuse has had to adapt during these challenging times. Janine, can you give us a glimpse into what the pandemic has meant for people experiencing domestic violence, and particularly those who have had to social distance or quarantine with an abusive partner?
Sure. Thank you, Jacqueline. You know, it's been really a tenuous time for survivors who are having to isolate in the home. We know that isolation is a tactic of abuse, and that the home is not a safe place for survivors of domestic violence. So they've been stuck there experiencing more abuse, and they're also alienated from the community. That, you know, they're not interacting as they normally would with schools, with doctors, with other community institutions. So they don't have that social support that often can help survivors to break free from abuse. So we know that it's a much more tenuous time. On our hotline, we've had the experience of survivors abruptly hanging up, not being able to talk because the abusive partner was present. So it's really been a stressful time for survivors of domestic violence.
I read on your website that Women Against Abuse has stayed on the front lines throughout COVID-19, and I know you operate 2 100-bed safe havens. That sounds like a huge task during the pandemic. How have you had to shift or adapt your services, and what have you learned from that?
That's a great question. There's been a lot of effort that has gone into creating a safe operation. And part of that is that we're fortunate enough to have private rooms for our clients, whereas other safe havens have dormitory style. So this allows for people to be relatively quarantined on site. We've also limited the number of staff that we have going in. We're only having folks who provide those essential services such as security, meals, custodial and housekeeping, maintenance, our client support staff. And then we have some services that we're now able to provide remotely, like case management and therapy. Also, our attorneys are able to represent clients remotely using video conferencing, and all of our administrative staff have been able to do all of their work remotely. So that's really been a benefit in limiting the numbers who are on site. We've had to shift to a much more rigorous cleaning schedule. And we've instituted grab-and-go meals. So instead of having a large dining room where everyone goes to eat, people can just get their meals and take them to their private room and eat. In addition to all this, we've started taking temperatures of clients and staff every day, and everyone is wearing a mask unless they're in their room with their door closed. In addition to all this, to operate safely, we found an alternative to the hotline because we were experiencing survivors not being able to talk because the abusive partner was present. So now we have web chat that we instituted where our clients can just go to our website and text in for the support that they need and be able to get it. And just in the first couple months of instituting that, we've had hundreds of people reach out. So we know that it's reaching the folks who really needed it.
It's clear a lot of intention and thought have gone into operating safely. What about the legal services for people experiencing abuse during COVID? What does that look like?
Well, we know that they were more important than ever. We had our clients reaching out on the hotline saying they really needed help getting a protection from abuse order, and they wanted to know a lot more about legal intervention. So thankfully, our legal center was able to advocate with those systems that are so important to survivors being able to get the protection from abuse orders, like the courts and the sheriff department. In the courts, we were able to create a way and access points, whether it be via email, via phone, or at the emergency filing unit, where people could go in and file for a protection from abuse order. And our attorneys are actually able to represent using video conferencing. So although the physical courthouse is closed, we're still able to provide that crucial representation so that survivors can access that safety remedy that they need. And in addition to that, we've been able to work with the sheriffs to serve that petition for the protection from abuse order on the defendant, so that survivors didn't have to go out into the community to make sure that it was served as they normally would. So we are really pleased that the systems collaborated with our legal center to iron out those kinks and make it possible for survivors to access the safety remedies that are so crucial during this time.
The past year has been a particularly difficult time. What is the largest challenge facing women against abuse, and how can our viewers help?
You know, all of the challenges that we've experienced this past year have really taught us how to pivot even more quickly and to innovate. So there's been a lot of learning, and we're grateful for that. some of the things we've done have really are going to help even in the future, even without a pandemic. And the major challenge that we see on the horizon is really funding. And that's because we'll be in a national economic recovery for quite some time, and that's going to have an impact on all of our sources of funding. But we do have quite a few government grants, which historically have been flat, and they have very stringent compliance. Yet they only will allow you to cover a small percentage of the administrative costs in order to maintain the systems you need to comply with the grant. So you're kind of in a catch-22 there. And for the future, we are anticipating flat and decreased funding. So the way viewers can help the most, number one, is what they're already doing, just being with us here this evening. All of the money that we are raising from Dish It Up goes directly to cover whatever the most strategic need is. So that is a huge help in and of itself, and that allows us to really fuel continued innovation. So it's really your support that makes it possible for us to continue operations even during a pandemic.
Thank you so much for sharing these insights with us, Janine. Domestic violence is staggering when you realize how prevalent it is and how dangerous it can be. I'm so thankful Women Against Abuse is here to support survivors in Philadelphia. Thank you for the work you and your team are doing.
Thank you, Jacqueline. This is really life-affirming work, and it's a privilege to have the opportunity to partner with survivors on their journey to safety. We're humbled and we're inspired by the strength of the people we serve. And I'm so grateful to be able to introduce to you now one very special woman. Khadijah is a former client and survivor who uses her platform as an advocate and international icon, Mrs. Pennsylvania title holder, to boldly share her story, raising much needed awareness and empowering others to stay safe. Thank you, Khadijah, for your leadership, your openness, and the impact you are making on our community.
So hello, I'm Khadijah Diggins Johnson. I'm here to share my story on things that I went through in life, to help empower others to share their story and let them know that they're not alone in this. We all go through things, but if we work together in this, we can all accomplish our dreams and goals. We can empower each other and let everyone know, like, you're not alone in this. We all go through things in life, so keep pushing. So again, here's my story, and I look forward to talking to you all soon. Stay empowered.
My name is Khadijah Diggins Johnson, and I am 36 years old. I don't want to appear weak. I felt at the time like when you go to people for help, no matter what it was, and it could be anything, you feel weak. Truth is, everybody needs help. I grew up in between West Philly and Upper Darby. More so in Upper Darby in my high school days. At first, it was like he was around everybody, around my friends, around the family. Once I moved out with him, it was a whole nother person. My mom had me and my sister so confident in ourselves, like he literally had to push bulldozers to get me to lower that. Mentally, he was literally screwing up my mind by breaking down my confidence and everything. I wasn't that person. He made me into that person. I got pregnant at 20. Throughout my pregnancy, it was still the verbal abuse, the mental abuse. When I had my daughter, she was born premature, so she spent a few months in a NICU. But one of the nurses, she kind of noticed me crying or me upset in so many little words without violating my privacy. In so many words, she was like you good, like you don't have to deal with that. I'm gonna say that's the first eye opener. It's like if she could see it, everybody can see it. She just gave me the information. Like, this is what you can do. This is what I'll do for you, without even getting into my business or asking me questions or anything. She just helped. We lived in like an apartment building, so it was like, I gotta get out of here. He would sleep. I turned on all of the pilots on the stove. So I like threw like paper, whatever I could find, just threw it on the stove so everything would smoke up. That caused all the fire alarms in the entire apartment to go off. I already had like a backpack, like my daughter's stuff, her nebulizer, her everything, like. When the first responders got there, it was out. When I went outside, I told one of the first responders, he's up there, he did da-da-da-da-da-da. They arrested him. From there, my mom told me about like women against abuse. I went up and I explained everything that was going on. So the first step was we got the PSA in place. Was able to get like an emergency hearing to issue it immediately and serve him. We filed for custody, the sole custody. They gave me a referral for emergency housing, but they just gave me the funds to help me with the move-in process and the furniture and this stuff I didn't have. They knew different resources I had no clue about. It's so many people out here that are going through so much, and I got that help. Today, I'm doing everything I wanted to do. My life's great. The career, my kids, everybody's healthy, everybody's just living life. It's so many girls who are 17, 18, they have no guidance, they have no parents, they didn't have what I had, that extra support. They literally alone. And those are the ones that Women Against Abuse can really, really influence and really, really help. They can help educate them, recognizing mental, physical, emotional, everything abuse. It's not always physical. And not just little girls, boys as well. Young boys, grown men, let them know it's somewhere you can go.
Khadijah, thank you for sharing your inspiring story with us. Your message is strong and empowering, and one that we are grateful to you for sharing. Women Against Abuse is proud to work with survivors like Khadijah and be a part of their journey towards safety, freedom, and independence. Each one of us is either directly or indirectly impacted by domestic violence, and each one of us can use our influence to make a difference. We're here to support some incredible people that do amazing things. And with this in mind, I am inviting all of us to make an impact together by making a gift right now. Here's how. Simply click the Donate Now button you see on your screen, or you can go to the Women Against Abuse website, which is womenagainstabuse.org, and follow the prompts to make your gift. Within the next 5 minutes, we have a goal to raise $10,000, and I know that we have some very generous supporters with us this evening who are ready to make this happen. Contributions from people like you and me are the lifeblood for Women Against Abuse. We could not operate without them. In fact, your past generous support of Dish It Up enabled Women Against Abuse to continue operating all of their programs during the pandemic, touching the lives of 8,993 people over the past year. Thank you. I see that donations are already rolling in. Thank you, Mark and Slava Lipowitz. Thank you, Alicia Williams. You may be sitting at home wondering how you can help. Go ahead and donate. If you have $25, you may be thinking that's not going to go very far, but you're wrong. Please Your $25 can provide one trauma assessment to guide a survivor's symptoms and manage their care. I see Ellen Wilson Dilks, thank you so much. Jacqueline Lewis, thank you for your support. Maybe you're sitting at home thinking you want to give $50, in which case $50 will provide translation services for 2 different callers to the emergency hotline. $50 also provides diapers and wipes for a child throughout their stay at Sojourner House, Women Against Abuse's transitional housing program. Remember, a lot of these folks are coming in the middle of the night with nothing but the shirt on their back. So come on, help them out. Make sure these kids and these survivors have what they need. I see some more. Lindsay Warren, thank you so much for your support and leadership here. Marta Rusek, thank you. $100. Maybe you're at home thinking, I want to give $100. $100 will provide one group therapy session for survivors where they will be empowered to identify healthy relationships and coping skills. For our clients who are relocating, $100 provides a set of sheets, cookware, and a toaster for their new home. Again, remember, some of these folks are coming with nothing. Hyun Kim, thank you so much. Thank you so much to the folks. I see the donations are rolling in, and we are so grateful. We're doing great. Let's keep them coming. Do you have $200 that you want to donate to Women Against Abuse right now? I invite you to do so, because with that, a family of 4 who has just moved into their home of their own can purchase a week's worth of groceries. A week's worth of groceries. Do you want to help someone, a family of 4, have a week's worth of groceries? I know you do. So come on, let's make those donations. Keep them rolling in. Thank you so much. I see Pat Ganley. Thank you, Pat. Helen Martin. Thank you so much, everybody, for the support. Keep it coming. Do you have $250 you want to give to Women Against Abuse? If you do, that's going to go a long way. It provides 5 hours of legal representation in a protection from abuse order or related custody case. $250 also provides for 2 individual therapy sessions for adult survivors to reduce the impact of trauma in their lives. A gift of $250 also represents 10 sessions with a children's case manager who provides support to a child survivor and their parent. That support is so important. Thank you for supporting it. I'm seeing some anonymous donors rolling in. Maureen Rush, board member Bob Lichtenstein, thank you so much. Erin Dilks, it's rolling in. Rashida Fleetwood, thank you, everybody. You want to give $500? I welcome you to give $500. That will provide for 2 weeks of enriching childcare or after-school programming for a young survivor. A gift of $500 will provide 1 financial literacy workshop for our clients, facilitated by our economic empowerment manager. Cameron Tucker, thank you. Julie Mustoff, Mike Stackow. Wow, Yvette Rouse, we've got a great team. It's rolling in. It is rolling in. Please keep it coming. $1,000. You want to give $1,000? $1,000 is going to cover the cost of 5 nights in a Women Against Abuse safe haven. $1,000 would enable our legal center to hire an expert witness to testify in support of a survivor seeking custody of their children to permanently break free from violence. Expert witnesses are not cheap, so come on with those donations. Dave Rosenko, thank you so much. Janine Lazitsky, leadership from the top, I love it. Chris Stevens, it's great. So how does Women Against Abuse translate your dollars into action? Well, let's talk about last year's activities. Last year, our hotline counselors helped more than 3,000 people create safety plans and connected them with local resources. Over 1,000 people received refuge at our safe havens, Philadelphia's only domestic violence shelters. Let me say that again, and thank you, Anna Nunez, I see it coming in. The only domestic violence shelters in the entire city of Philadelphia are Women Against Abuse shelters. This is important, hugely important work we're doing. Thank you for your support. 91 people rebuilt their lives while staying at Sojourner House. Almost 3,000 people received legal aid, including attorney representation, court advocacy, and telephone counseling. 1,156 people were trained in domestic violence dynamics and effective interventions. 100% of our Safe at Home graduates transitioned into permanent housing with at least one source of income. 92% of youth training participants were able to identify warning signs of an abusive relationship. Thank you, Wild's family, for supporting Women Against Abuse as always. 99% of clients who pursued a final protection from abuse order received one. That's incredible. So I see we're wrapping up. We have exceeded our goal. This is very exciting. Thank you to everyone who so generously gave this evening. So far, we have raised a total of $10,030, and we will be keeping this link open for a few more days. So please help us spread the word. I would also like to extend a special thank you to all of our sponsors. We could not do this work without your generous support. I'd like to extend a heartfelt thanks to Tucker Law Group, Morgan Lewis, and to our Golden Whisk sponsors, ASI Management, Brandywine Realty Trust, Drexel University, IBC Foundation, Sally and Edwin Rosenthal, the Scheller Family Foundation, and Univest Financial. Tucker Law Group, our presenting sponsor, where I am filming from live tonight, has a brief message they'd like to share with us.
Hi, I'm Joe Tucker, and I'm so proud that the Tucker Law Group is the presenting sponsor of tonight's Dish It Up. We have been a long-time supporter of Women Against Abuse because their work with survivors of domestic violence is absolutely crucial to the safety and well-being of our entire community. Thank you for joining us this evening, and thank you for joining us in the important work of Women Against Abuse. Stay safe, Philadelphia.
And that rounds out our evening. Thank you so much for joining us for the virtual edition of Dish It Up. We hope you enjoyed this time together, and we would like to extend a special thank you to all of our speakers and sponsors. Enjoy the rest of your night and take care.